think by the age of 45, by the age of 50, by the age of 30, draw that plan and put it somewhere. Let me tell you. Some time ago, I went and told a very young person. He's in, now this is CBC, I get confused, but I think she's in class. So, I just told him, hey, what do you want? He told me, when I grow up, I want to drive this kind of car. I want to do this. So I asked him, for you to get there, what do you think you should do? He told me. And I told him, so now, it is you who is supposed to go and work hard. I asked him, we tried and probed, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How do you work on this? The guy told me, huwa sipendi kuamka. I like coming to play with my other cousins. He told me all those things. So I told him, now we are going to time your playing. We are not going to say you won't play, but we are going to time your playing. My grandmother is the one who told me, this is a young cousin. That guy wakes up early. Amechora ile gari anataka hapo. Amechora the marks he wants by the time he's clearing primary, secondary. He's put all the grades there on a paper. And the mother sends him when it's time to read. He's like, no, this is time to read. Once I'm through, I will go. Playing, he does, the way children go to play, and he has improved in his grades. So what I'm telling you is something that's practical. It's also something I've seen in my life. Of course, there will be ups and downs, but once you start getting to be self-aware, then you start investing in yourself. And when you invest in yourself, you help the whole community, because you won't now pretend to be somebody you're not. You won't pursue dreams that are not yours. There are people who got into nursing and they realize, isi yangu, and they leave it and they start something else. You get? So let me read quickly. I'm sure we are almost out of time. So, you are the most important resource in the financial management journey, and therefore you need to obtain knowledge about yourself. Your interests. What are your interests? Your skill? And then what's your experience? By the way, the experience you have is very important. Playing that keyboard, organize this place. A person who can, it looks like this, can be a very good event organizer. Yeah? You're sharpening those skills slowly by slowly without knowledge. You see? So, ask yourself, what experience do I have? Up to that age you are in, what experience do I have? Hata hiyo ya kulima, hiyo ulikuwa unalima in your father's farm, kama you ever worked in your father's farm. It is still experience. It is very important. And agriculture, if you realize, kama fertilizer ndio pekee inapewa subsidy, it means agriculture is very important. So wacha kudharau hiyo experience ya agriculture. Then, when you now realize your interest, skills, and experience, you decide, what path am I going to take in life? You start looking at the vision you drew. If you drew the vision that I'm telling you, by 40, I want to be here. So how do I get there? How do I take advantage of my strengths and opportunities? And try and work on my weaknesses and see how I can use the threats around me and make sure they don't make me fall down. How do I harness all this so that I'm able to move forward? The other, personal development and growth depend crucially on learning. Learning, I have already told you, reading, you have to read. Iyo agriculture umelearn kidogo kwa wazazi wako. Go read. There are opportunities. People are being told you need to have a garden at your home. Ukienda Karen, everyone is being told about gardening, and they do not know everything. So how can you take advantage of that and start a company where you do gardening, and you go to Karen and give flyers, and you start doing gardening for people? People are also running away from fertilizer and insecticide. The other day someone told me, if you mix ile tobacco ya kusniff and Omo, it is very good insecticide. That's what she uses on her Sukuma Wiki. How do you harness what you're learning? Because people want to live long. They don't want to breathe in insecticides. Pia insecticides, they affect your skin. You see, how do you harness that power? You're very good at applying makeup on yourself. By the time you get out of that place, everyone is looking, she knows how to do this stuff. How can you take advantage of that? Don't shy away from what you know. It is important. By the way, every experience you go through in life will help you one day. It is experience you're gaining. That bad experience you want to forget. One day it might be what will help you. There are people who lost their parents young, and God has helped them to lift others because of that experience. So don't look at experience in terms of where was I employed. You see, take advantage of volunteering so that you sharpen your experience. Yeah? Those are things you've already been told, I'm sure, but we have to repeat them here. Then you have to take charge of your education to continuously improve your skills, your physical and mental well-being. By the way, if you want to know the secret of living long is exercising your brain. The minute your brain is not being of use, and the best way of exercising your brain is by observing, just observing nature and seeing how things. Have you ever looked? Actually, my son akiwa mdogo sana is the one who told me, if you look at a pigeon, it looks like a cheetah. I think so. Sindio? It looks like a cheetah. Or even look at this forklift. Hiyo ni mkono ya mtu kubwa inatumiwa. Someone actually thought, I can make something to be so big so that it lifts. So it's good to just observe your body. You might be the next innovator. Observation is a very good way of working your brain. Yeah? Meditation. You see, like the way people go to pray somewhere and they're just silent. It's very important, by the way. Take advantage of that. A place where you're just doing nothing but thinking about you. Because let me tell you, and I was telling somebody the other day, it's actually advised if you want to have good fertile land, and I think that's where we were hearing of the Shamba system the other day. If you leave land for some time to be idle, even for say 2 years, you go to Lima there the next time, excellent place. You will reap like no one else. So what about you? Why do we think land, even trees hibernate? They shed off leaves so that they don't use a lot of water. By the next time, they are blooming, yeah? Even us, we need to do that. Take advantage. Go somewhere where you just relax and have yourself hibernate and think of yourself. In the process, fast. You're healing diseases. You're healing yourself. I heard of people like Akina Steve Jobs say they went to Himalayas. That's where they came with those ideas. They just go to Asian countries. They meditate. They relax. Nothing. They are not looking for money. They are just trying to come up with some creativity. Those are ways that you work your brain. Reading is another way. Reading knowledge. Not easy vitu tunasoma tu Facebook. Kuona watu wana. No. Seriously, purposefully reading. And this is besides classroom reading. It's saying, I am interested in the keyboard. You try and understand how the keyboard began, how, you just invest your time to understand music as a whole. So that it's just not about coming here for worship. How do I start my own production house? Read. If you read, you'll be able to know all these things. They are in books. Then, eating a well-balanced diet. Cutting down on sugars. So we need a healthy person to be going to look for money. It's when you're thinking straight, that is when you can think of investment. You can have that money. We go to invest, we be yote. You see? But when you're in a good, straight thinking, you will be able to tell, hey, I need to step back on this transaction. I need to use, and you start appreciating experts. Why should you pay somebody so that they can give you what? They can give you advice. Si unasikia mashamba inauzwa ushakimbia. I was seeing Rongai people are saying wameibiwa pesa. It's the norm in Kenya. People have money, but every other day pesa inaibiwa because we don't want to invest our time in thinking, what do I really want? How do I want to invest? The other day I also saw a lady had online chamas ameenda na pesa za watu. You wonder, people actually have money in Kenya. But how we are putting this money is where we are going wrong. And there are right ways of investing. But you can only get this if you invest your time in yourself first. What do I want? So you hear an investment, you're all running. You even call all the youths, let's go. No. Invest in yourself. Eat a well-balanced diet, cut down on sugar, drinking water. The basic things regular fasting, exercise. Exercise can even be dancing for those who love dancing, just walking around, doing housework. If you have a house girl, once in a while, do that work. By the way, you will learn a lot about what is in your house. Dusty core, nini. You'll also realize, kumbe I bought this thing and I've never used. It's good to do your housework. Then sleeping. Sleep is very important. By the way, it is in your sleep where you rejuvenate. It's like a renewal. You're renewing your energy. At least 7 hours of sleep. Very important. Some of us go even beyond if we are given a chance. Personal quiet time with God. Very important. Your time, unaenda, unaketi. I want to teach you a very important thing about life. And that's why you need to invest some time with God. There are many things that bother us in life. Many. Imekusumbua mpaka you're afraid, you're wondering kwani God doesn't hear. Practice to write down all those things. Then, after you write, once you've told God that thing, learn to leave it there. Learn to be living things. Si amesema we trust Him. Lay your burdens to Him. And He will carry them for you. But you know what we do? You go, you pray, unabebana nayo tena. You start thinking, the next person you meet, help me pray about it. And let me tell you, people, watu wako na mambo mengi pia, sometimes they don't remember to pray for you. So, just spend some time with God. Talk to Him. Write down those things. If you're not that keen on writing, just pray about what is pressing you. But learn to write it down. Say, this one I have left to God, and I trust He will hear me. If you feel hard-pressed to pray about it again. But learn to go with the flow. Life becomes easy when you start learning to go with the flow. And I think that's why they say life begins at 40, because at 40 you realize that. Kuna vitu zingine, stress hakuna. I think that's what I'm learning at my age, and that's what I'm trying to teach you. Leave it at the feet of God. And tell Him and move on. That's not to say that I don't get stressed and cry about some things. I do. But once I've given it to Him, I am sure He will handle it. Yeah? It's not in my control. The other very important thing, setting boundaries. Hiyo mimi sikufunzwa, let me tell you. But boundaries are such important things in life. Boundaries in your own life are so important. Because boundaries, you see, like if you look at this place, it's very clearly demarcated. You actually know, hakuna mtu anaweza ingia within this church compound. Yeah? That is what boundaries should do in your life. If you have boundaries, there are so many things you will be able to do. And one of them is relating well with other people. Because they know where it stops and how far you can go. Even you know how far you can go. Yeah? So let's take, there's physical boundaries, there's mental boundaries, there is emotional boundaries, even religious boundaries. If there is something important I learned is that thing called boundaries. Because with physical boundaries, you know how I should shake someone's hand and how I cannot allow somebody to shake my hand. You know who I should hug and who I should not hug. You know who you should allow in your house and who you should not allow in your house. You decide where you should go. These are physical boundaries. Unaambia hii miguu, hapo kuendangu. This is the end. You limit where you go, how you go to those places. You limit them by having boundaries. Then there is emotional boundaries. Emotional boundaries is allowing people to torture you. To what extent? And even you, how far can you go? You should be able to know, now I should stop. In this conversation, let me stop. Emotional boundary. Otherwise, that is where you find now people getting to a point where they are fighting and doing many things because you have not learned emotionally. What are your strengths emotionally? What are your weaknesses emotionally? It is out of all these strengths and weaknesses I'm saying that you learn about your emotional boundaries, your physical boundaries, your financial boundaries, because you should also have financial boundaries. Ukishatengeneza budget, you should know now anything else that comes outside this budget. No. Unless you have put some miscellaneous money, hiyo hapana. Because you have prayed about this budget. It is something you believe in. So financial boundaries are also very important. And when it comes to physical boundaries, there is sexual boundaries. And this you need to teach your children. You need to teach your children, your young people. It's good to teach them, and I'm going to say it here. Because it helps children know how I should be touched and how I cannot be touched. And this child grows up knowing that this is not right. You see? So it's important. This is how you can dress, and this is how you cannot dress. It's also important to teach your child that. You see? Because obviously, we live in a world where we have all kinds of people. So whether we say rights, whatever, there are people who have a skewed mind. So there is a way they will see you dressed, and they will just do something wrong to your child. So teach these boundaries to yourself and also to those who matter to you. And also talk to them about, and go invest time and read more about boundaries. It's a very good place to just learn about how to live in this life. Then teach yourself to set realistic goals and priorities. You set a goal, that is the homework I gave you, and then be realistic. You know, at times we are not realistic. Yes, we have faith, we are the children of God, but it's good to be realistic. Allow life to take the flow. Because one of the things that makes us to get into anxiety and to be so, to start feeling like life is being unfair to us is because of not setting realistic goals. We do not know how to manage expectations. When a company makes a strategy, they always say, we are setting a goal where we are going to make this much of profit. But what if by this time we have not reached this target? What happens? Is there something we can do to ensure we reach that target? Or do you now start beating people around, telling them you're not working? Realistic goals and managing your expectations. So, as you achieve goals, it builds your capabilities. By the way, there's nothing as good as when you achieve a goal. If you set a goal and achieve it, you will be so happy. It is one of the things that grows self-esteem. It also grows your capabilities. Because as you try to achieve this goal, that is why like now you're investing in financial training. Because you have a goal. You want to achieve something financially. You see? So you're building into your capabilities by this kind of training. So you build your capabilities, and also it builds your self-confidence. And then you allow yourself to make mistakes. If there's something we as human beings we don't like, is mistakes. And let me tell you, mistakes are part of life. If there's a humbling lesson you need to learn, and it has been said over and over, is a child who is learning how to walk. Just look at how a child learns how to crawl and how they learn how to walk. Invest time. Part of using your brain is observing. Just look for a child who is learning how to crawl in your neighborhood. Take time to observe. Then you watch them as they learn how to walk. That is the biggest miracle in life, I think, from now giving birth. I think that's a miracle, how that child strengthens these muscles and they are able to walk. They make mistakes, they fall down, they hit their head. Anything. All kinds of accidents. They fall into hot things. That's where most accidents happen. But then why then do we grow up and we become perfectionists? We don't want to make mistakes. You're so hard even on your child. For those who have children. Because you agreed on a certain target and they didn't get it. Mistakes are part of life. I set this goal. I did not achieve it. I am still human. Actually, it just tells you I am a human being in an imperfect world. This world is so imperfect. So why are you forcing yourself to be perfect? Trees understand this world is not perfect. That is why they shed off leaves. Yeah? Animals get sick. Sickness is part of telling us we are in an imperfect world. Yeah? So stop being hard on yourself. Mistakes are okay. In fact, I had a conversation with someone else the other day, my nephew. And he was really talking about the way things are not okay, what. Anyway, I told him, what I have learned is that from the time you're in nursery school to class 8, you're learning. Yeah? It's a continuous process of learning. You live from 1, from 4, learning. Those who go to college after that and university, learning. Then finally, you're employed or you're out in this world. And suddenly, everything has to work. Who told you you've stopped learning? Actually, if you ask me, that is the hardest time because all through, up to college, you had teachers holding your hand. You had parents holding your hand. You did not even know how to spend money. The money you are given, you could call home and say, Imeisha, and then they can give you some time utumiwe, or something would work out easily because someone is somewhere you can ask. Now this period after you get employed or you start living alone, that is when real learning begins. And if you ask me, anybody who has just left college, anyone who is starting life on their own, they are not in the right mind to make some very hard. It's a time to take, to really think about some decisions. Decisions about marriage. Yeah? And I'm not saying if you got married at that age, it's wrong. Me, I actually got married at 20. I got my son at 20. But I can tell you, you remember I told you how experience helps you later in life. I can sit back and say, my son is not a mistake. I have learned so many things from him, but I am using my life to just tell you a bit of it. But if you ask me, that's not the right time to make some very serious decisions about life. It's a time to experiment. If you ask me, this is my opinion, you have your opinion, and we are allowed to think of opinion. When it comes to dating, that's not the time to be strict with one person. We really like being serious. And that's why we get into some temptations, because we want to date one person. You see, that's a time to learn people. These personalities I'm telling you, it's actually called 16 personalities. That is when you start realizing, this kind of personality, it's like atuskizani, you get. So it's from the time you start living alone, is a time to experiment. Wengine, they have never cooked. It's their first time to cook ugali, to wash dishes, to learn how to make a bed. And then you're so hard on yourself. You're in a rush to get married. You're in a rush to sijui buy which car. Who said so? Panda matatu kidogo. You're even lucky there is Uber. Take some time, think through life. There's no rush. I can tell you at my age now, there's no rush. Enda pole pole. Let me ask you, these MPs, what are our wadogo? These MPs who have just gotten their jobs, na hiyo mshahara kubwa, what can't they do with that money at the moment if they plan about it? Yeah? That's a lot of money. in 5 years. Yeah? So what I'm trying to tell you, enjoy life while at it. Stop rushing yourself. Society is the one that has said, by this age, you should be married. By this age, you should have the second child. That is society. Can you decide for yourself what you want? Can you get yourself from this mentality that is carrying the world? And who said that's the only way it should be done? Life has changed. And if life is changing, we also need to look for how we can adapt and fit in that space. That's why we are failing financially, because at 20, you start a family, and that is when you're just starting to get your first salary. Financially, you will strain. Let me tell you the truth. Kuna rent, kuna chakula, kuna diaper, kuna hair care, makeup, kuna... If you ask me, take time. Take time. Don't allow people to set standards for you. Sit down. The homework I gave you, set those standards for yourself. Do the personality test. Understand yourself a bit. Ask yourself, why do I behave the way I behave? And does it mean that because I behave this way, there's something wrong? I don't think so. Then you can train yourself. We know of this guy who did javelin, the Kenyan who's been winning. Is it javelin or what? It's called, I think, Julius. Do you know of that guy? He says he trained himself on YouTube, and there are many people who are training themselves on YouTube. Try and train yourself in some of these things. Then you learn by taking responsibility and owning up to your choices. Investment, finances is about making choices and taking responsibility. And knowing that you can make a mistake once you have made that decision. Then knowing that don't be defined by a career. I'm going to be a marketer. I'm going to be trained in marketing. I'm going to just do this alone. No. You can be anything. Just read about those philosophers of long time, Akina Pluto and the rest. You'll find, like the lady, I think it's the lady who discovered penicillin. I think it was a lady, I'm not sure. But that person had learned mathematics, medicine. Alikuwa amesoma. People long time never used to go and do at one degree and that's it. No. Expose yourself to many disciplines. That's when you now decide, what do I really want? You get. And then with that expansive knowledge, you can be a jack of all trades. In today's society, you can ask those people who are employed. Today you think you're in banking, then you realize banking is so flooded or you're bored, you can go to another sector, you see. And also when you have a lot of knowledge, even in business, look at even judiciary, when you were watching the Supreme Court. Judiciary is no longer about law. You have to know IT, you have to know mathematics. Those simple to mathematics are very important for you to know. So expand your knowledge across different fields. You see, that way you will be able. You're in music, do a bit of coding. You do not know what will, that will open you up to other opportunities. You get. Then, why am I saying all this? It's because we use income to invest. We use income to break through in life. We have to have some money with ourselves, whether we like it or not. Once you invest in yourself, once you know yourself, you decide how much am I going to earn. There's a guy I was listening to on YouTube the other day, and they said, and I think it's true, we can sell this chair, 5 people, and we'll sell it for different prices. You see? Because, number one, you know why you want this amount of income. Why do I want this income? And then you also know the value you have created for yourself and the value of that seat. You see? So, it's important to invest in yourself because at the end of the day, the income you will ever make is because of the value you accrue to yourself. If you remember the very first quote I said, when we know ourselves, we are able to see our value. We are looking for our value. When we are creating self-awareness, we are creating value for ourselves. Wewe ni wa shilingi moja? Are you worth 1,000? Are you worth a million? Because that's the income we will use to invest. So it's very important that you invest in yourself in that way. Then the other thing is, I said behavior involves an interaction between a person's underlying personality and situation variables. So the way you behave is a characteristic of the personality I told you to know about you and the situations. We are always finding ourselves in situations. Uamke kesho uambiwe hakuna job. How you behave how you react to that news is a factor of your personality and a factor of that situation. Your personality will help you to react to that. And that's why it's important to know. And situations are very important in life. A small situation can break you or make you. There are those people who meet very hard situations and they are able to excel in that situation. And there are those who get into that situation, a similar situation, and that's the end. They go into depression. They start drinking. And that's why it's important to know yourself. Because life is about changes. Life is dynamic. Today, we are like this. Tomorrow, it's different. How will you react to that change? Because kesho haitakuwa vile leo iko. You get? It might be better. It might be what you look at as bad. But that situation is your mindset. It is your mindset. How do I look at this? You can see someone like this Mwangi, Equity. Equity is buying this bank. The bank ya walimu waliuziwa. There's a bank that Equity is buying. It's called Regina Imenda. But it's doing financially very bad. Yeah? So the teachers do not want this bad thing. But Equity is, kuna kitu wameona hapo, they want to take this bad thing, situations. You see? For somebody, their mindset, they are looking at this bank and they are seeing, this is a bank that's not doing well. Hata hatuitaki, it's giving us losses. It's a headache. We don't want it. But Equity is looking at it and saying, this is an opportunity. I am sure he's looking and seeing all these teachers in Kenya will be part of our deposit. They will have like a voice over the teachers, you see. And many other things we don't know. They must have looked at it in a different way. So, situations. What is your personality? And how do you react to situations? Kuna mtu atafiwa na mzazi, and that's the end. They become depressed. And hata ukikutana na wao, that's the story everyone in the village says. Najua when they were small, walifiwa nini. And it's there's another one. Atatafuta vile, how can I deal with this life? You see, even when it comes to suicide is because of how our personality. Because if your personality is in such a way that you look at things in a skewed way, unaona the bad things instead of the opportunities. You see? So it's important to understand. So our environment is changing all the time. The person who is able to master their personality, your personality should not enslave you. You should be the master of your personality. Because you're so self-aware, you're able to tell yourself, no, you're not going to go into depression. You're going to fight this. You get? And you start having a strategy of how you're going to work through. Sawa, nimeambiwa job imeisha. And this is the match I'm getting from this job. What do I do? Do I start crying? Do I start with a little money? How do I strategize and see what I can do? And it's not to say that sometimes you can strategize and do all those things. But if you have a strong personality, somehow you will be able to beat it. That's what I can say. Then the person who is able to master their personality and has the ability to interpret the changes in their environment and adapt to the changes is most likely to have some stability in their lives. The situation that someone finds themselves in plays a role in how they might react. You get? So, to get some stability in your life, you really need to master. You know, a master is somebody you what to do. You're not at the mercy of your personality. And let me tell you, this is a secret about money also. The minute you're the master of your money, then you will be able to interact with your money in the right way. You will be able to tell your money where to go. So, I need to conclude. The other very important thing I need to talk about before I go is I need to speak about behaviors that ruin our finances. Ask yourself these questions. Why do I spend in the ways I do? What am I really looking for? And how is it impacting my long-term health and relationships? It is important to understand what motivates you and what makes you successful. So, mistake number one is equating money to your worth. You know, because you're not self-aware, you do not know your worth. There are times you look at yourself and you start saying, I am worthless, you now are at the mercy of other people, you see. So you should never equate money to your worth. You should never look at somebody and think because they have money, then they have a higher worth than you. Then the other thing is avoidance or running away from your problems. But this is a personality issue. People who will never face up to their problems. They are always running away. You know, you should actually sit down and have a conversation with yourself and your budget and how you're living life. But instead of doing that, ukombioni, you're running away. You do not want to face. You do not want to face the fact that you are actually in a problem. And that's not only in finances, it is also at a personal level. So we should stop avoiding. It's a personality issue. You'll see it when you do the personality test. Then chronic impulse buying. You unapitia mahali, unaona tu earrings. They are nice. It's only 50 bob. No. Actually, you remember there's a sheet that was sent to your group. Serenity goals, yeah? If you really want to know the amount you're spending, you need to take that piece of paper every day. Ukinunua hiyo earring, andika mahali. Ukinunua maziwa, andika mahali. Ukilipa fare, andika. At the end of the day, add the totals. Every day for a full, by then I'll see for the first time, don't strain yourself. Live life the way you have been living. Hiyo 20 bob, andika, kila kitu. At the end of the month, unanga pesa. For real, we are here saying the way we are broke, that we are not blessed. Yet, every day we are buying. We are paying fare. Unajitreat, kamotura, only 5 bob. Ushakula, you see. So, chronic impulse buying. Kamandazi, kuna hii chapo smoky. Yeah? Write every day how you're spending. Now, hii fanya vile umekuwa ukiishi. Don't constrain yourself. Live the way. Then you write on that sheet of paper. There are many varieties. You can also do your own styled to you. Tumesema we are not going to live according to our standards. Other people's standards, we are going to live to our standard. Write. Then let's come and look how you spent the full last month. We see how much money you had. Because hiyo pesa kama unalipa uko nayo. And don't strain yourself. Kama umezoea kafuliza, wewe endelea tu kufuliza, andika. You see? That way we will understand where That's why we are saying we have to face ourselves. We have to face our issues. We are not running away anymore. Avoidance, no. So, impulse and overspending. And it also comes to the needs, the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Is there a better way of meeting these needs? Are you getting? Is there a better way? Do we have to? So you have to see why we need to understand ourselves, our needs, our weaknesses, the SWOT analysis. Now it's coming to haunt us here. Yeah? Then there's a scarcity mindset. Hiyo ni prayer item. We are always seeing lack. Even when our president elects a cabinet, lack, we have to criticize. At times, allow people to make mistakes. They are human. Yes, they are making mistakes with our money, but we elected them. Hata kama huko elect wako huko. Allow them to make some mistakes. It's still a scarcity mindset, if you ask me. So, and then there is a scarcity mindset of not spending money on yourself, not because you don't have money, but because you prefer hoarding. Yani ukiangalia ako ka account kakiwa na pesa unafurahi tu. Na saa hizo umefinyiliwa. Hata umeenda kwa fuliza, lakini kuna pesa wapi? Umesave. It's not right. It's not right. Kama umesave, take a bit of that, take care of yourself. Learn, when you start taking care of yourself, then you will be able to spend money in a better way. You see, it's when you do something, that's when you learn. So if you don't do that thing, you will learn. So spend money on yourself. Jipeleke ka out. Enda Mombasa. Fanya kitu. As a youth, semeni tunaenda Mombasa for a holiday. Mulipe ni kujitreat. You see? So, au ni girlfriend, au ni boyfriend, au your husband. Unaenda nywele. And he has money. So, let's learn to spend money. It's good to learn to spend money. But now we are going to learn how to spend money in the right way. You have difficulty in saying no. Now that one is the worst thing that you can have. If you don't know how to say no financially, it is the beginning of a lot of problems. So you have to learn to say no, because utakutana na sales people who will always convince you why you should take the next loan, why you should buy the next car. You are afraid to disappoint others. Unajua, if you own a business, at some point you'll have to fire somebody. You'll have to tell them the truth. Haufanyi job vizuri. So you have to learn to disappoint people. You shouldn't be afraid of disappointing others. You give to others easily. Kwa familia. Huko umepangia kitu lakini imesemekana lazima iende. Mko huko. You give to others easily. You avoid conflict. Run away from conflict. Learning how to handle conflict is very important. You say what others want to hear. You never want to speak for yourself. You just want to make other people happy. So anyway, I have rushed through this. I really hope we'll be having more time where we can be able to discuss this without rushing through, because there is so much to learn. I should also be, you have to say, but I couldn't do that because of the time limit. But we can always work around that. One of the things and I'm not really trying to pin you down. It's just a lesson we have to learn, all of us. Let's try and be mine. One of the best ways of managing money is managing time. So we need to start learning how to manage money. It is true, time is money. So that's the other thing I'll tell you. So let's pray. Almighty Father, we are grateful for this wonderful day. Thank you for bringing us together. Thank you even because of the people you have brought, even as we continued to study. I'm grateful for the audience, and I'm grateful that they have felt that and they are confident that you can use me to speak to them on this topic. Almighty Father, whatever we have learned, I pray that each and every one of these people in this gathering will put it into practice. There is homework that has been given. It is personal homework. It is homework that is going to help them. I pray that they will have enough time to even sit down and think about themselves and think about what they want for their future. Thank you for this journey you have begun with us. And I pray that you shall be with us and you shall take care of our finances, of our families, and everything that concerns us. In Jesus' name we have prayed and believed.